I am back in the Culinary Barn and I have two recipes for you today. Two recipes that go very well together and are perfect for a spring or summer luncheon. You could consider them kind of one light meal together, or you could serve them as two sides to some grilled fish or meat or whatever you like. Very easy to put together and really, really delicious and definitely tastes like the season. First thing we're going to do are these very simple yogurt flatbreads. Everything just goes into a bowl. There's no need for resting, rising, keeping warm. We're just going to put everything together, shape them into a dry griddle pan. They have this great, like succulent kind of texture to them, but the star of the show is this garlic and herb butter that we're going to paint on top of them while they're still warm. And then the other recipe is just a really beautiful composed salad using some of the best of what is currently available in the gardens. We've got some beautiful French breakfast radishes and some sugar snap peas, some mint, some scallions, and then we're gonna make a very simple vinaigrette to go on top. So let's get started with the yogurt flatbreads. Into a bowl, regular all-purpose flour, nothing fancy here. And then I've got equal quantity in weight of full-fat yogurt. I'm using skyr, but you could use labna or just really high-fat Greek yogurt. Don't skimp and use a low-fat yogurt. Use the good stuff. And the more sour, the better. So right into the bowl. Then we need a little bit of salt, just about a teaspoon or so. We're going to salt the butter as well, so you don't need too much. And then some baking powder. This is going to be our leavener. It's what's going to puff them up. And we're going to do about 2 heaped teaspoons, 2 and a little bit. Give this clean hands. And you're just looking to bring it together so you can kind of squeeze it in your hand. And then out onto your work surface. Kind of pull as much off your hands as you can. And then just start kneading it like it's a regular bread. Just push it into your work surface. Sort of pull it up on top of itself, push it away. And every time you do that, just sort of give it a little kind of quarter turn. Once you have the yogurt and flour combined, you're just going to have a kind of rough and tumble looking dough ball like this. And if you wanted to, you could set this aside for 15 or 20 minutes and just let it chill out. But we're going to go ahead and shape this straight away into 4 little balls. You can use a knife or a little bench scrape here. You could, of course, weigh this if you wanted equal size. And then you can use a rolling pin, or you can do what I do, which is just use my hand and flatten them out. So just use the heel of your hand to flatten this out. And you're looking for like about 1/4 of an inch thick or so. And don't worry about the shape. It doesn't need to be a perfect oval or circle. In fact, the kind of rougher it looks, the better. So you're just going to have a little flat piece of bread like that. And then these we're just going to set aside until we're ready to griddle them. And now for the real star of these flatbreads, we're going to make an herb and garlic butter. So I've just got some unsalted butter in a pan. I'm going to put a touch of salt in here, but not too much because we're going to add some salt with the garlic, as I'm going to show you in a second. And then I'm just going to do 2 cloves. Depends on how big they are, but also it depends on how much garlic flavor you like. Just give these a whack. Release them from their skins. And then I'm just going to show you this little trick of making your own garlic paste. Please don't buy that stuff in the jars in the grocery store that's like covered in soybean oil and who knows what else. This is just an easy little way of making your own garlic paste. Just finishing up, just finely mashing and mincing this garlic. And this is going to go into the pan with the butter. And then you can use whatever herbs you like for this. I'm going to go with some herbs as well as some scallions. So I'm doing some flat leaf parsley. And I'm not going to fully mince this down. I do want a little bit of texture And I do have some of the soft stem of the parsley in here as well. It's not just the leaves. Into the pan. And then I'm going to do some mint as well, because mint is one of the flavors in the vinaigrette that we're making for the salad. And then I'm also going to put in these 2 scallions as well. And once you have all your mint and scallions, they can go in the pan as well. You can add some pepper in here as well if you like. I'm not going to, but completely up to you. This is going to go on the stove just on low heat. All we're looking to do here is melt the butter and start infusing all of those herbaceous flavors and the garlic and the alliums. So it'll just take a couple minutes. You can make this in advance and just keep it warm, and that way the butter will have more time to infuse with all of those beautiful flavors. While this is on the oven, I've got a dry griddle pan preheating on very high heat, and we're going to take our flatbreads and just put them right on dry. Hot from the griddle pan. Look at these gorgeous grill marks. And you want to lather them, literally lather them, in this delicious butter. Well, they are still hot and the butter is still hot. And just all over the top. And seriously, I can't stress enough how much we are lathering these. Make sure you get any of the little kind of wrinkles and nooks and crannies. Okay. These are sufficiently bathed. Last little detail, a little bit of fresh lemon just spritzed on top. You could do zest as well, but this will definitely brighten them up. And that is part 1 of this 2-part recipe. Now for this very simple and very flavorful salad. Best part about it, there's no cooking involved, and we're using the best of what is currently available, including these beautiful French breakfast radishes. They've got the little white bums and the kind of hot pink tops on them. I've just had these soaking in cold water. I washed them ahead of time because they can be a little bit dirty. And I've got some of the tops still on. This is going to depend on your radishes, whether or not the tops look pretty enough to keep on. Any of them that still have the leaves, I'm going to keep on, but otherwise a little bit of the stem part, I'm just going to click off with my knife. And then also the tail, I want to keep part of it on, but I am just going to take off the kind of hairy little bit that's at the end. So you have this beautiful radish like this. And then to prep these for the salad, I'm just going to quarter them so that they're not quite as abrasive in a bite, but you just end up with these perfect little quarters. Next thing are these beautiful sugar snap peas. These are nice and plump. So all I'm going to do is just remove the top stem with my knife. And then just because I think it's going to look more beautiful on this platter, I'm just going to cut each snap pea in half so that I can expose the little peas inside. As it turns out, it's just easier to split them with my hands. So I'm just doing kind of like a haphazard display of them on this tray. And for some of the smaller ones, I'm actually leaving those whole, but most of them I'm opening up, again, just for their aesthetics. And then with the radish, I'm going to start tucking these in, some with the full white inside up, and then obviously others so you can see that nice bright pink color. Now that the radishes are on the platter, I'm just taking a few more of the sugar snap peas and just opening up their tops and leaving them with the pods kind of intact, so it makes a little boat, and each of those little boats will hold some of the vinaigrette. So just a few more on top, and we're just sort of building layers here. And maybe one more, this one, big one. And just split down through the top and open it up so you have this little boat. Now for the vinaigrette. Fresh mint, just the mint leaves, not the stems. Just pull the leaves off. You can do this in a food processor or a blender if you want, but it's very easy to do by hand. So mint, I'm just going to finely break down this mint. Mint into the bowl, along with a zesting of fresh lemon right into the bowl. And we're going to use a touch of the juice as well. Some of the juice. Go. And we need some seasoning, a little bit of salt. I am going to put some pepper in here as well. That. And this is a bit of a special ingredient. If you don't have it, you don't have to go out and get it, but this is pomegranate molasses. It's a little bit kind of tart, just about a teaspoon of that. And then to echo with a little bit of sweetness, I'm going to use about the same amount of honey. And then the last thing, just some good quality olive oil. Give this a good whisk. And just before the dressing goes on, I've got some feta, and I'm just going to try and keep the crumbles large so that you're not like little tiny pieces of feta, but some actual substantial salty bits of feta. And just, again, kind of casually put this around on top, building another layer of flavor. And then the dressing is going to go right on top. And you don't want to over dress. You don't want a ton of the dressing pooled in the bottom, just enough so that every little bit gets some of this flavor. All right, and that is an incredibly simple but very flavorful, colorful salad done. And it's going to go beautifully with our soaked butter and garlic soaked flatbreads. And like I said, you can use these as a side to some nice grilled chicken, a piece of fish, some shrimp, whatever you want. Otherwise, this is just a really simple, light lunch. Last little bit I'm going to do for the salad is just some whole mint leaves. And this is more just for dramatic effect. Is just put some of these scattered on top. And that should do it. So I'm going to use my hands here. I'm going to get a little bit of everything stacked up on top. So fresh and bright. Really, really good. Like I said, a nice piece of grilled chicken on top, piece of grilled fish, even some sauteed shrimp. They're still warm. Look at all that garlic and herb butter on top. Tear it. Salty, bright, garlicky. So good. Use this to put some of the salad pieces on. Perfect spring, summer lunch. Enjoy.